Hey, what's up? Chris Weinert here. I want to do a video this morning. Kind of inspired me a little bit. I was watching Mario and Nobody Special Finance, I believe it was, doing a recap of, was it David Rogers' Webb book, The Great Taking. I've never read the book. There's a free download for it in the links. I'll put a copy of their video below, hopefully as well. And if you want to click on their video and go to the descriptions in the memo and get a copy of that book, it's probably sounds like it's worth reading. From what I gathered from the interview, it's a lot of the stuff that I've been concluding and discovering in my own research. And to me, it probably would just strengthen much of what I've been saying and probably maybe even add a few dimensions to some of these things. To briefly summarize what they had spoken about, they talked about the legal jargon that has been applied to controlling all of the world's resources, and of course the eminence front and the legal obfuscation of the basically the investment markets, everything that you could invest in, whether it's commodities, stocks, crypto. I even think the XRP ruling of it not being a security and things like this could even be a factor with this as well. They talk about JP Morgan holding custodianship for not only SLV, but for some of these other things too, and certainly the collective awareness of people coming to the realization not only of what the Dodd-Frank laws stated in 2011 about putting you as a secondary creditor to your own deposits, also recent stuff from Manarino and many others talking about the FDIC has less than 2% of insurance on its cash deposits for 17, 18 trillion. So yeah, this is stuff that I've talked about for a while. Other people have been concluding and figuring things out on this too, and really it's everybody coming together to try to figure out what's being done to us and how to really get our lives back and get ourselves through these illusions and how to deliver the actual real deal things. So many people think that they own, if you have GLD or SLV, you think you own gold or silver. Like I mentioned in many other videos, you own exposure to the price, and really you can manipulate that and that alone. You don't actually own any sort of legal custodianship to any sort of commodity. Many of these things are hypoallocated or multiply given out. In other words, the paper count to physical count in some cases back in 2010, whoa, we're over 200-300 to 1, and I think they're still pretty dang close. I think gold is probably about 125 to 1 is what I've been able to conclude. And the Ted Butler and some other guys that have really done a lot of good work with silver say that silver's closer to about 200 to 1. So I think that there is a tremendous upside to actually holding physical custody of these things should these Ponzi schemes really become eradicated, should there become a run on the market just like there's been a run on the banks. And of course the mainstream media is there to gaslight you, to really scare you into keeping your money there, to assure you that nothing is wrong and that everything is fine. The same guys that scare you towards their things that they want you to buy are the same ones that when you want to ditch the things they talked you into buying are the ones comforting you and gaslighting you into thinking that you're just being irrational or paranoid or that there's nothing to fear, stuff like this. And nothing could be further from the truth. They're the same guys that are telling you safe and effective on a death clot shot. I guess when you look at the track records of these people and you look at really what these guys are supposedly doing towards compared to what they're actually doing, you see the tale of two cities and quite the inversion. And I really think that a lot of the investment offerings are the same thing. Whether you're talking credit default swaps, derivatives, hypoallocated paper certificates, ETFs, exchange traded funds, things like this, they are all pretty much there to lend the impression or an optic of something that is truly physically not there. And it's really just the full faith and credit of the private sector financial institutions, including the Fed, which is also a private sector financial institution, but somehow or another runs our basically our domestic and foreign policies, and certainly holds the purse strings to anything that Congress wants to do. So it was supposed to be the other way around, the way the Constitution's written, and you see really the inversion there too, and how it's put the power into the hands of the few, the unelected, undemocratically appointed few. That have used this instrument as a means to not only enslave us all through debt and control us by these means, but also to control us by carrots and sticks through hoarding and taking over all the resources. And many of this was done under the guise of national defense and national security and things like this. And nothing could be further from the truth. It has nothing to do with the actual physical population of the people. This is just a jargon, a rhetoric term that is there to propagandize you and to get you into a patriotic sentiment, really to serve the people that are oppressing you. And it's amazing to see the amount of Stockholm Syndrome going on between the whole Israel-Gaza thing too, and how much that has come to light. And in conjunction with this, it's almost like you got to think they set up some of the anti-Semitism laws and the free speech laws and the censorship laws and even the custodianship laws and many of these other things to really put you into a situation where you're being extorted, you're being exploited, they're literally being held hostage by your own capital and access to it. Many of these cases in terms of like BlackRock or Vanguard, they're using your own pensions to render your children homeless and to certainly put these type of agendas on you, whether it's the woke stuff, the DEI stuff, whether it's the war in Israel or Palestine, or even the COVID vax thing and all the accessories to that. So I guess, it's a big fucking scheme, and they have it departmentalized, and they have their insiders running these schemes. We talked about Jeff Christian the other day, and man, I don't know if that video I made it up or not. I think I erased it before it was done uploading, or I had to upload it again before. So I made a video yesterday talking about some of this stuff too, and it never made it through on YouTube. So I don't know. We're going to try this one again today and see if this one works and see how it goes. Also, getting back to the topic at hand, though, the Great Taking. A lot of the legal jargon that they put in terms of custodianship, in terms of securities entitlements, are terms that would lend the optic or the impression that you do in fact have custody or rights to your investments. But in reality, it's like your car, your home, or anything else like that. The second you default or stop paying, or the second you defy any sort of thing, there's a loophole, a backdoor. They can put like a construction lien on your home, if you don't have it properly insured or things like this. And this is another thing in that video I was talking about yesterday was the insurance rackets in tying into this as well. And you remember the TARP and QE3 bailouts of 2008 and 9. The first thing they did was fund the insurance companies that were extended and certainly risky and exposed to exponential more risk than they should be. And of course, the derivatives, the CD, credit default swaps, the mortgage-backed securities, all these things are tied in together. And so whether you're talking homeowner insurance, car insurance, health insurance, any of these, mortgage insurance, all these things are really shakedown tactics to get you paying more money for the same product, and certainly to assure that you will pay and to ensure that you will pay. So yeah, these are all tactics, control mechanisms by this aristocracy, this group, and they're using these things under the guise of free market capitalism or market forces or securities or protecting the investments or the investors or the banks. Ultimately, let's just say if the banks weren't so predatory in the first place, they wouldn't need to have these measures in there to begin with. But that's another argument for itself, and that they can make money out of nothing, lend it to you at interest, and then you get a mortgage for 30 years at 3%. You're paying back 100% of the principal on top of what you pay back as well. So you're talking 2x on principal. Now that they have made the interest rates go up 5 times in the last 3 years. Imagine that now. You're talking like 10%, 15% on some of these mortgages. So wow, I guess when you really get into that and see where they're going with these things, you're really paying these bankers to just stay out of the weather and what these guys aren't doing with the banks and the insurance industries. They're taking the rest of your capital, your savings, your wealth, your income through energy or through insurance or many of the other things like I talked about, and even inflation in the stores. So this is not an accident. This is not a happenstance of free market forces coming to fruition. This is absolutely a group that has tried to put these conditions on, or has created other conditions that will lead to these conditions and specifically do exactly what it is doing. So people think that this system is broken or it's failing or whatever. No, this system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now, our question is do you want to put the people that have created this system, do you want to keep them in charge of the next system after they crash the last one that they destroyed? Or do you really want to forge a new alternative? Do you want to, keep being held hostage or held on the digital plantation by these guys and these mechanisms? Or do you really wish to break free? So I guess the best way to break free is just to understand, what's putting you in chains in the first place. And I think this book here would probably be a good place to start for uncovering some of this research and certainly understanding what has been done to you under the guise of law and order and the rule of law. The people that are making the laws and writing the laws, you can see why they've given themselves a big raise in the last session. And you can see why they have really put themselves into a position of servitude for this 1% aristocracy, and have really dealt with inversions in terms of dealing with the public and sufficing their needs. It's all, like I say, the kabuki theater that they create to justify why things can't happen. The crooked Democrats or the Republican rhinos or any of this bullshit, they are all distractions. They are all misdirections. They are all there to focus your vision on what they want you to see instead of what you should be looking at. And most of the offerings these guys have are weaponized inversions of rhetoric at best. And when you get through all that stuff and see what they're really all about, maybe this great taking book will open your eyes to really what's being done here and how this big parlor trick has been put under the guise of a free market. And really, once you understand these things, maybe you can put yourself in a better position to protect yourself from much of this treachery. Because there are ways to do so. It just has to be theoretically and in actuality outside of the system and outside of control of these guys. It's another thing too. Think about this. You pay an income tax, which is a temporary measure to get us through to World War I. You pay sales tax. You pay capital gains tax if you make the right investment on things that you've already paid sales tax on with income that you've already paid taxes on. So really, it's like if you win, they keep it. If you lose, they take it. And it's a no-win situation. And most people are like being fed the illusion of the American dream and opportunity and all this shit. And really all it is just them keeping you on the casino floor and paying you with company script and truck wages and certainly impressing you into their military and their political resolutions, for lack of a better term. So I guess, people really going to have to wake up and stop trusting, the feel-good public relations firms that are out here steering you into these destructions, and really start hacking through their red tape with a frickin' machete or something. Because, this is a concrete jungle, and we are the guerrilla warriors that are going to save humanity from this, or we will be trampled underfoot by it. So there's no common ground, there's no middle ground, there's no middle of the road sitting on the fence here. Either you are a freedom fighter or you are an oppressor, and there's no gray areas here. And really the whole point of them with much of these inversion rhetorics and distractions is to create the perception that you are in fact fighting for freedom when you're really in an intellectual cul-de-sac, and by design. Not an accident, not a happenstance. Like I say, this is very much the way it has been designed. And whether you're talking Tories and Whigs, Whigs and Democrats, Democrats and Republicans, or anything else really when you get into that Hamas and Israel or Ukraine and Russia. These guys put these departmentalizations out, and it's almost like a fanatic, harnessing the fanatics and the zealots and the people that really lack information and education, make up for it with zeal in terms of serving this thing loyally and blindly, because they know where their bread is buttered, and they know where the carrots and sticks go and what's going on here. So yeah, most people don't have the confidence in themselves or the courage in themselves to stand up against this, so they really just become notorious collaborators with it, and somehow think by lying and teaching the lie to their children, and breaking them to this tradition of systematic oppression and generational servitude, that they're doing their children a favor, that they're helping them, they're keeping them safe, and in reality, they are just really compounding with interest this millstone that is been placed on our necks. So guys, I'm going to cut it short so this video will upload by the end of the year. And appreciate everybody for tuning in, all 7 of you, and everybody that's watching on Carl's show there and Jim Fetzer's channel, and any chance I get to make other appearances, I will try to do so. It's hard right now, I'm working pretty much 2 jobs to stay broke and raising a 4-year-old kid on my own. So not the easiest thing in the world to do, but just explaining what's going on. And of course, never ever taking a fucking penny for anything I've ever put out, and having people literally making videos, recycling all the shit I've said for the last 10 years on record and time-stamped and purged from the damnation memoriae of Google and YouTube. Suddenly these guys have millions and millions of views and all this popular support and all this, all these people saying, oh, these guys are the greatest minds in the world. And most of them are just pretty much stating the stuff that I've been trying to scream at the top of my lungs for the last few decades. So not saying I have it all right, not saying I've been right about everything, but I think my track record has been pretty strong. And I think that's probably also why I've seen as much censorship and deplatforming and trolling and attacks and assaults and things like that on me, And people can proclaim, victimhood all they want, and I'm sure that, they probably are being attacked online and trolled and whatever else, but, in real life, in real world, I've had to pay the cost, and certainly I've never taken a fucking penny for doing what I'm doing. And I've had people follow me around for 10 years, like they're almost assigned to me to sit here and call me a shill or a Fed or a Jew or whatever. So I've always been baffled by that. If it wasn't so laughable, I guess I would be upset by it. But I know that these people are, like I said, in the group of notorious collaborators. And if it's not their cognitive dissonance that's reflexively trying to dismantle anything I say because they would actually have to do something about it, then they are actually in on it and part of it, and they're a little more duplicitous than they are just a coward and naive. So that being said, well, I guess we got a lot of work to do, people, and a lot of stuff to really get right. And certainly this is not about my ego at all. It's nothing to really do with that. It's really about getting your ass kicked for 40 fucking years and nobody's there to help. And then suddenly once, you finally turn a corner with political sentiment and really start to reach the multitudes, you just get... Like I said, these people that find out what I'm telling you, and once you figure it out, you're going to be shoving me out of the way to get after these guys. I think I was probably right on that shit too, and maybe that's a manifestation of that as well. So, yeah, I'm not hating the game. I'm just wondering, where these people, how these people get all these subs and all this support, and all these platforms and stuff. When people that have been right on and been saying it, before the shit goes down, have actually been just completely erased and ignored and trampled underfoot and trolled and dismissed. And this is what they're doing, guys. It's divide and conquer. This is them really just trying to break our wills and sell our souls. So yeah, this is the human spirit at its finest, folks. And, what you do here and now is going to ultimately determine, the future and fate of humanity for generations to come. So hopefully people can set aside their religious and political sentiments and really understand that this is much, much bigger than all these departmentalized, controlled oppositions. and really decide whether you want to join the fight in Ephesians 6:12 and good versus evil, powers and principalities. Because a lot of people think they're doing awful damn good shit, and they're really just reverting back to the programming and the control mechanisms. And when you do that, you're pretty much just a straw boss on the boule plantation, in my opinion. And I think I have more respect for you than you have for yourself. And hopefully, maybe people will snap out of it when you hear some tough love and hear this from somebody that they don't want to hear it from. So all I got for now. I know I'm just rambling, but stuck in traffic and I'm trying to put my time to good use.